A phone slammed against a marble desk so hard it rattled a glass award beside it. The screen flashed with missed calls, 13 of them. All from the same contact. Mom. Aria Kingston didn't touch it. Not yet. Not after everything. She simply stared at the city skyline outside the floor-to-ceiling window, the lights flickering like 1,000 restless thoughts. The TV behind her kept replaying the same headline. Avalon Technologies acquires SentinelForge for $200M. Founder Aria Kingston becomes overnight industry icon. The next moment, the studio erupted with applause as her picture dominated the screen. But Aria didn't smile. Her jaw clenched for just a second, betraying a tremor beneath the accomplishments. Only when the phone lit up again, Mom calling, did she exhale sharply and pick it up. She didn't answer. She turned the phone face down instead. And just like that, the memory pulled her under. It was 2 years earlier. The night rain hammered against the windows of the Kingston house, as if warning her not to open her mouth. But Aria was done pretending. She stood in the living room holding her backpack and laptop, her chest tight. "I'm dropping out," she said. Her father, Victor Kingston, lowered the newspaper slowly, as though she had spoken in a foreign language. "You're what?" Her mother, Lillian, stiffened on the couch, fingers freezing mid-stitch on her sewing project. Her younger brother, Evan, paused the game on his phone and looked up, wide-eyed. Aria swallowed hard. "I'm leaving North Hill University. I'm building SentinelForge full-time. My algorithm works. I need—" "You've lost your mind," Victor snapped. "You think you're just going to drop out and magically create a company? Do you hear yourself?" "It's not magic," Aria said softly. "I've been working on this for months. It predicts cyber threats before attackers even move. Real companies want this." "Real companies?" Victor laughed once low, bitter. "Real companies don't buy fantasies from college dropouts." "It's not a fantasy. It's a disgrace," Lillian whispered. Victor rose, looming beside the fireplace. "You are throwing away the future we sacrificed to give you. Are you that ungrateful?" Aria's voice trembled but didn't break. "I'm not throwing anything away. I'm building a future on my terms." Victor stepped forward, face red, veins rising in his neck. "If you walk out of this house to chase that ridiculous dream, you do it alone. No help, no support, not $1 from me." Aria stared at him, realizing he meant every word. "Dad," Evan whispered, frightened. But Victor was already grabbing Aria's suitcase from beside the stairs. He yanked it open, stuffed in her clothes with no care, zipped it violently, and shoved it into her hands. Lillian stood too. "You want independence? Fine. Be independent from this family. Aria's." Throat burned. "You're cutting me off completely? For believing in myself? For betraying us?" Victor said. Those words stayed with her long after he pushed her out into the bitter night. Evan tried to follow her, but Lillian shouted for him to stay. The door slammed shut behind her. Aria stood on the porch soaked by the rain. No home, no money, no plan, only a laptop and her algorithm. She dragged her suitcase down the steps with numb fingers and walked into darkness. Hours later, she sat on her friend Marissa Lane's couch, shivering in a blanket while Marissa paced. "You dropped out?" Marissa asked for the third time. "Like, dropped out, dropped out?" Aria nodded. "Your parents really did that? They meant it," Aria whispered. Marissa sighed and stopped pacing. "Okay, you can stay here. For now. But babe, you need a plan. You can't just code a miracle on my couch forever." "I'll make it work," Aria said. "You've got 3 months," Marissa said firmly. "After that, you need income. Or a real job. Or something." Aria nodded faintly, because that was better than nothing. Better than the cold sidewalk she could have ended up on. The next morning began the grind. She coded all night, slept for an hour, then dragged herself to a cafe shift where she made barely enough to buy groceries. Her laptop became an extension of her hands, her only weapon against a world that didn't think she stood a chance. Rejection emails piled up like debris in a storm. Accelerators, investors, incubators. Some said she was too inexperienced. Others said, not a good fit at this time. A few didn't bother to respond at all. The worst were the ones that pretended to be supportive but ended with, "Come back when you have more traction." She had traction, she just didn't have privilege. Still, she kept working, but problems grew. Marissa's apartment felt smaller every day. Aria's equipment and notes filled the table, then the floor, then the couch. Clothes piled up in corners when she was too tired to fold them. Marissa tried to be patient, but tension hung between them like damp laundry. One night, after Aria received her 18th rejection, she stared at her laptop screen until her vision blurred. Then she buried her face in her hands and sobbed quietly at first, then uncontrollably. The sound startled Marissa awake. She flicked on the light. "Aria?" she whispered. I don't know if I can do this." Aria choked out. "Everyone thinks I'm crazy. Do you think you're crazy?" Aria shook her head. "No. I know this algorithm will change everything. But no one cares. Not one person." Marissa knelt beside her. "Then find someone who will." And fate answered sooner than expected. A week later, Marissa dragged Aria to a tiny cybersecurity meetup at a rundown community center. A dozen people sat scattered around folding chairs, sipping cheap coffee that tasted like burnt rubber. Aria planned to leave immediately until she overheard someone speaking about behavioral anomaly patterns. That someone was Dr. Solomon Rayner, a retired systems architect from Titan Systems. He had the calm presence of a man who had built empires and lost them and learned from both. He noticed Aria listening and smiled warmly. "Curious mind?" he asked. Aria hesitated, then nodded. "I've been working on a predictive threat model, but no one takes me seriously." "Show me," he said simply. They sat at a dusty table. Aria opened her laptop and walked him through her algorithm. He nodded, scribbled notes, asked sharp, intelligent questions. When she ran the demo, the script detected a simulated intruder before the attack even launched. Solomon's eyebrows lifted. "Brilliant," Aria blinked. "You mean that?" "I don't say things I don't mean." He leaned back. "This is the future of cybersecurity. You're building something groundbreaking." A warmth spread in Aria's chest, like someone had finally opened a window in a suffocating room. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked quietly. "Because someone needs to be the first to believe in you." He reached into his coat, pulled out a checkbook, and wrote a number. He tore the page and placed it in front of her. $15,000. Aria stared, stunned. I can't take this. Not without giving you equity or—" "No equity," Solomon said. "This is a loan. Pay me back when you can. No rush." "Why?" she whispered. "Why help me?" Solomon smiled softly. "Because 20 years ago, someone helped me when no one else would. I'd be a hypocrite not to do the same." For the first time in months, hope returned. With the money, Aria moved into a small co-working space, upgraded her equipment, cleaned up her codebase, and pushed out a beta version of SentinelForge. Solomon connected her to an investor, friend Isabel Navarro. Their first meeting was at Isabel's minimalist office made of glass and steel. Isabel was sharp, intimidating, with a mind like a laser. "Show me what you've built," she said, without pleasantries. Aria connected her laptop, but just before she ran the demo, her phone buzzed. It was her mother. For a moment, Aria froze. She hadn't heard from her in months. Her thumb hovered over the screen. She answered. "Mom?" Silence. Then Lillian's voice came, cold as winter. Why are you calling us? What do you want now? I wasn't asking for anything, Aria whispered. I just wanted you to know I'm okay. We don't need updates on your reckless choices, Lillian said. Do what you want, but don't drag us into it. The call ended. Aria stared at the blank screen, throat tight, but she forced herself to breathe. Everything all right? Isabel asked. Aria nodded once. Yes, let's begin. And she launched the demo. SentinelForge scanned the simulated environment. Seconds later, flashing red data appeared threat identified before any malicious action occurred. The model flagged the attacker's behavior pattern and neutralized the threat instantly. Isabel leaned forward, eyes widening. Holy hell, Aria exhaled. This, Isabel said, is going to change the cybersecurity landscape. Thank you, Aria murmured. I'm offering $200,000 for 18%, Isabel said. Right now, before anyone else gets you. Aria blinked in disbelief. What? Yes! Yes, absolutely. When she stepped outside afterward, she screamed into the cold air and laughed until she cried. For the first time since being cast out, victory didn't feel like a fantasy. The next months moved like a whirlwind. She hired 2 engineers. She rented an office barely bigger than a hallway, but it was hers. SentinelForge grew fast, too fast sometimes. They secured a contract with a regional bank. Tech magazines noticed her. One called her the unexpected disruptor. Another labeled her the underdog genius. And through all this, her parents never called. Not even once. But someone else did. Evan. He sent a single message. I'm proud of you, she cried reading it. Because he'd had to hide it from their parents. Aria wiped her tears before anyone in the office could notice. She forced herself to stay focused, pouring everything she had into building SentinelForge. The momentum grew, but so did pressure. Investors wanted updates. Clients demanded stability. Her engineers pushed for clarity and direction, while Aria navigated fear, excitement, and exhaustion all at once. Still, every small win fueled her. Every successful demo reminded her why she fought so hard. Every line of code she wrote made the betrayal from her parents hurt a little less. But success had a way of attracting attention, good and bad. The first sign something was off came late one night. Aria sat alone in the office, surrounded by empty coffee cups and glowing monitors. She ran a routine diagnostic on their main server. It flagged a strange inconsistency. A chunk of code she didn't recognize, buried under thousands of lines, almost invisible. She leaned closer. What are you? She whispered. She traced the anomaly. It was subtle, expertly inserted. Not something a junior engineer would randomly add. More like someone planted it there to track or sabotage. Her chest tightened. She called her lead engineer, Jonah, who answered groggily. Aria, it's midnight. Get to the office, she said. Now. Is everything okay? No. And that's why you need to hurry. Jonah arrived 15 minutes later, hair messy, hoodie half-zipped. They examined the code together, following its hidden pattern. His face drained of color. This wasn't an accident. I know, Aria said softly. Someone's been inside our system. Someone who knew what they were doing. Jonah hesitated. Do you think it's Iron Veil? The name hit Aria like a punch. Iron Veil Security, one of the biggest players in the industry. Their CEO, Cameron Strick, had a reputation for aggressive acquisition tactics. Aria had met him once at a conference. He barely acknowledged her existence, but she remembered the comment he whispered to another exec when she walked past. Cute idea she has. Shame she'll never survive the sharks. She hadn't forgotten. Aria straightened. I don't think it's Iron Veil, she said. I know it is. They worked through the night gathering evidence. Logs, timestamps, access patterns. It was all there. Ironvale had bribed two of SentinelForge's former contractors to steal code and disrupt upcoming releases. Jonah slammed his hands on the desk. This is corporate espionage! I know. You need to take this to the authorities. I will, Aria said, but her mind was already racing faster than her words. Ironvale was huge. Their PR team was ruthless. Their lawyers were legendary. If she came at them quietly, they would crush her before anyone knew the truth. But if she came at them publicly, she stood slowly. We're not hiding this, she said. We're exposing them. Jonah looked horrified. Aria, if you go public, I'm done letting people stomp on me. They stole from me. From us. From everything we've built. Cameron Strick will come for you. Good, she said. Let him. The next day, she called Isabel. Her mentor listened in silence as Aria explained everything. And you're planning to go public? Isabel asked. Yes. You'll make enemies. I already have enemies, Aria whispered. This time, I'm fighting back. Isabel exhaled slowly. Then prepare yourself, because this will get ugly. They organized a press conference. Isabel's team gathered reporters, tech journalists, cybersecurity analysts. Aria spent hours rehearsing, but when the moment came, she didn't need the notes at all. She stood before the cameras, chin lifted, heart beating like a war drum. 3 months ago, SentinelForge experienced breaches and code inconsistencies that threatened our product's integrity, she began. We investigated thoroughly, and what we found was shocking. Our competitors at Ironvale Security hired ex-contractors to steal proprietary code and sabotage our platform. This was not innovation. This was theft. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Flashbulbs exploded. Aria continued, steady and fearless. We will be pursuing legal action effective immediately, and we will not be intimidated. Our mission remains the same: to protect digital systems with truth and transparency, something Ironvale failed to uphold. Reporters shouted questions. Do you have proof? Are you accusing them? Directly? What are your next steps? Aria answered. Everything calmly, confidently. That night, the internet exploded. David V's Goliath. Young founder takes on cybersecurity giant. SentinelForge CEO accuses Ironvale of espionage. Cameron Strick under fire after sabotage allegations. Ironvale tried to deny everything, but Aria released the full evidence packet the next morning. Ironvale's stock plummeted. Their board demanded answers. Cameron issued a weak statement that only made things worse. Through all this, Aria's phone rang non-stop. Investors, journalists, old classmates, people who had ignored her suddenly wanted interviews. Her face turned into a viral meme. The girl who took down a billion-dollar company. But the one call she wanted never came. Not from Victor, not from Lillian, not even a message. Evan texted her secretly. Mom's pretending she never saw the news. Dad's angry because you humiliated a respected company. They won't admit you've done anything right. Aria read the message 3 times before replying. It's okay, Ev. I stopped waiting for them to be proud. But she hadn't. Not really. Months passed. SentinelForge grew rapidly. Clients trusted them more than ever. Investors called non-stop. Aria barely slept. But for once, exhaustion came with a sense of purpose. During that time, Aria reconnected with a familiar name, Talia Knox, a close friend from her university days. They had pulled countless all-nighters together, coding side by side with energy drinks and music blasting. When Talia reached out saying she admired SentinelForge's success, Aria felt something warm flicker inside her chest. Someone from her past finally believed in her. They met for lunch. Talia looked the same, sharp, witty, talkative. She laughed easily, complimented Aria, and apologized for losing touch. I always knew you'd make something incredible, Talia said, sipping iced tea. I'm not surprised, just proud. Aria blushed, caught off guard. Thank you. That means more than you know. Talia leaned forward. I want to help. Let me join your team. Let me help build SentinelForge into what it deserves to be. Aria hesitated. She already had trust issues, betrayal from her family, sabotage from Ironvale, but a part of her desperately craved loyalty. Friendship. Someone familiar. So she agreed. Talia joined as head of product. She worked quickly, confidently. The team liked her. Aria relied on her. It felt good, like she finally had someone who understood her from the beginning. But sometimes, Talia asked strange questions. Where do you store your encryption keys? Can I get access to the most recent anomaly logs? Do you mind if I sync my device to the internal server? For convenience? Aria didn't question anything at first. Talia was her friend, her trusted inner circle, until Isabel called her one evening, voice tense. Aria, we need to talk. Now. Aria rushed to Isabel's office. Isabel stood in front of a screen filled with access logs. She pointed to the highlighted entries. These are unauthorized transfers, Isabel said. Someone inside your team has been sending out sensitive data for weeks. Aria felt cold. Who? Isabel clicked a button. A name appeared. Talia Knox. Aria stepped back. That's not possible. I triple-checked, Isabel said. It is. Talia wouldn't, she's my friend. Was, Isabel corrected quietly. And she's been spying on your company. Again. Again. The word hit her like a bullet. Why? Aria whispered. Ironvale isn't dead, Isabel said. They've been trying to rebuild their reputation, and it seems they found someone willing to help them. Aria stormed into the office the next morning. Talia was at her desk typing. When she saw Aria, she smiled. Hey, boss. Everything okay? Don't call me. That, Aria said. Talia blinked. What happened? Stop pretending. Aria slammed a stack of printed logs onto the desk. What is this? Talia skimmed the papers. Her face went pale. Aria. I can explain. No, Aria said. You can't. You sold our data. Again and again. You betrayed everything. It wasn't what you think, Talia cried. Ironvale Cameron, he pressured me. Aria stepped back, disgusted. You walked into my company, into my life. After everything my parents did, after every setback, and you did the exact same thing. Talia's voice broke. I'm sorry. Please, please don't ruin me. It's not me ruining you, Aria whispered. You did that yourself. Security escorted Talia out minutes later. Later that afternoon, federal agents arrived, and Aria watched from her office window as Talia Knox was placed into a black SUV, hands cuffed behind her back. The betrayal stung deeper than she expected. She sank into her chair, covering her face with both hands. Her breaths came shallow. Everything she had built, every victory she had earned, it felt tainted. She whispered, Why does everyone I trust do this to me? That night, she stayed in the office long after her team left. The city lights blurred beyond the window as she tried to calm her racing thoughts. Evan called. She answered immediately. You okay? He asked softly. Not really. I heard about the arrest. People at school are talking. Aria laughed hollowly. Of course they are. Aria? Evan said. You're stronger than them. Stronger than all of them. She bit her lip. Thank you, Ev. I wish I could be there. I know. Silence stretched, warm and safe. Then Evan whispered, I'm proud of you, even if Mom and Dad never say it. Aria's eyes filled with tears again. She whispered back, That's enough for me. But she didn't know yet that her parents were about to re-enter her life in a way she never expected. Because the next storm was already forming and it would hit her closer than any betrayal so far. 2 months after Talia's arrest, SentinelForge was invited to speak at Tech Nation Summit. It was the biggest cybersecurity conference in the country, broadcast live, watched by millions. Aria spent nights preparing, rewriting, rehearsing, not because she needed to impress investors, not because she needed validation, but because she wanted her team to see she was still standing, still fighting, still evolving. On the morning of the event, she walked backstage, adjusting the mic clip to her blazer. Jonah squeezed her shoulder. "You've got this." "I hope so," she murmured. "You always do." Aria managed a small smile before stepping toward the wings. The audience buzzed with chatter. Over 1,000 people. CEOs, journalists, students, investors. Her heart pounded, but not from nerves. From ownership. From reclaiming the space she was once told she could never belong to. The announcer's voice boomed through the hall. "Please welcome the founder and CEO of SentinelForge, Aria Kingston." Applause erupted. Phone cameras rose like a field of lightning bugs. Aria stepped into the spotlight, but the moment she looked over the crowd, her breath caught in her throat. 2 figures sat in the third row, slightly off-center. Victor Kingston, Lillian Kingston, her parents. Time slowed. Her pulse roared in her ears. She'd imagined seeing them again many times, sometimes in anger, sometimes in longing, sometimes in reluctant hope, but she had never imagined this. They weren't clapping. They were simply staring at her as if she were a ghost they weren't expecting to see. Aria didn't falter. She forced herself to turn toward the podium and began speaking. Her voice was steady, clear. "When I built SentinelForge," she said, "I didn't start with a team, or an investor, or a roadmap. I started with nothing except a laptop and a belief that security shouldn't just react to threats, it should predict them." She talked about the evolution of cyber attacks, the need for innovation, the importance of not giving up even when the world dismisses you. Throughout her speech, she felt her parents' eyes drilling into her, Lillian wiping her cheek, Victor shifting in his seat, uncomfortable, restless. When she finished, the hall erupted in a standing ovation. Her team cheered, cameras flashed, people shouted her name, but Aria felt none of it. She felt only the presence of the 2 people who had abandoned her at her lowest, now watching her at her peak. She walked off stage. Someone congratulated her. Someone else hugged her. Isabel whispered, "You were flawless." Aria nodded numbly and slipped behind the curtains. When she rounded a corner backstage, she froze again. Victor and Lillian stood there, blocking the path. "Aria," Lillian whispered, voice trembling. "Please, wait." Aria's throat tightened. "No." Victor stepped forward, hands slightly raised as if approaching a wild animal. "We've been following your work. You've accomplished more than we ever thought." "You mean more than you ever believed," Aria said sharply. Victor grimaced. "We made mistakes." "Mistakes?" she repeated. "You threw me out. You abandoned me. You left me homeless." Lillian's face crumpled. "We were scared. You were making a reckless choice. We thought if we pushed you, you'd come to your senses." "I didn't need pushing," Aria snapped. "I needed parents." "Aria," Victor tried again. "You've proven yourself. Truly. Let us make this right." Her stomach twisted. So that was it. They wanted the successful version of her, the one the world applauded. Not the girl who slept on her friend's couch. Not the girl who cried over rejection. Emails. Not the girl they threw into the rain. "You want to make things right?" Aria asked quietly. "Then leave me alone." Lillian's face fell. "Please, please don't push us away." "You pushed me first," Aria whispered. "And you pushed hard." Victor looked down. "We're sorry." "No," Aria said, voice firm. "You're sorry now because I made it. Because you saw me on the news. Because people respect me. If SentinelForge had failed, would you be here right now? Silence. Lillian's eyes shifted. Victor swallowed hard. That was her answer. Aria stepped back from them. I learned to build my life without you. I'm not going to unlearn that. She walked away before they could say another word. When she returned to her hotel room, she collapsed on the bed, shaking. All the strength she held on stage dissolved into tears. Years of pain she had buried clawed their way up. Evan called her moments later, voice filled with worry. I heard. Mom and Dad went to the summit, he said. They came home early. Mom was crying. Aria exhaled shakily. They tried to apologize. Did you accept it? I didn't yell at them, but I didn't give them what they wanted. You don't have to, Evan said firmly. They don't deserve that. Her voice cracked. I wanted them to believe in me. I do, Evan whispered. And I always will, she cried harder at that. The next day, she threw herself back into work. She had too many responsibilities, too many people depending on her, too much to lose. The world had opened doors she never imagined, media interviews, partnership offers, invitations to panels and summits. One morning, she walked into the office to find Isabel waiting for her with a strange look. You have a meeting today, Isabel said. With who? Avalon Technologies. Aria froze. Avalon was one of the biggest companies in the world. Their acquisitions reshaped industries. Their name alone carried weight. Why do they want to meet? She asked. Isabel smiled. I think we both know why. Hours later, Aria walked into a sleek conference room overlooking the city. Two executives greeted her warmly. We've been observing SentinelForge's growth, the lead exec said. Your predictive model is revolutionary. We want it, and we want you. Aria inhaled slowly. What are you proposing? A full acquisition, he said, sliding a folder across the table. $200 million. Aria blinked. 200. Yes. The room hummed with quiet certainty. Isabel squeezed her arm under the table. Aria opened the folder and scanned the terms. They weren't just fair, they were generous. Her team would keep their jobs. She'd transition into a senior role at Avalon. SentinelForge would scale globally. This is life-changing, she whispered. You earned it, Isabel, said. Aria closed the folder. I accept. The moment the contract was signed, something deep inside her shifted. Pride, joy, relief, mixed with a faint ache she couldn't ignore. She wished Evan could have been there in person. She wished Solomon Rayner could see her now. She wished her parents could understand what they had thrown away. A week later, Avalon hosted a closing party at a rooftop venue. Champagne flowed, music pulsed, the skyline sparkled like a jewel. Aria arrived in a fitted navy dress, hair pinned elegantly, eyes bright but tired. Jonah toasted her, her engineers hugged her. Isabel raised a glass. To the girl they underestimated, Isabel said. And to the woman she became. Everyone cheered. Aria laughed, cheeks flushed with happiness. But the moment didn't last. Near the entrance, two figures stepped in. Victor and Lillian Kingston. Aria's stomach dropped. They approached her slowly, nervously, carrying a perfectly wrapped gift box with a silver ribbon. Aria, Lillian said softly, we didn't want to miss this. We're proud of you, Victor added. Truly. Aria let the silence stretch. Then she asked, why are you here? Victor swallowed. Because you're our daughter. And because, no, Aria said firmly. You're here because you want a piece of this. Lillian flinched. That's not true. It is, Aria said. It always has been. When I was struggling, you turned your back. When I was rejected, you stayed silent. When I fought a billion-dollar company, you didn't congratulate me. The moment the world valued me, you remembered I existed. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. We want to fix things. You can't fix what you broke, Aria said. But I forgive you. Victor exhaled in relief. Thank you. But forgiving you doesn't mean I'm letting you back into my life, she continued. Their smiles faded. I'm done hurting myself just to make you comfortable, she said quietly. I choose peace. I choose boundaries. I choose the people who were there when I had nothing. She nodded toward her team, her friends, her supporters. Please leave, her mother sobbed. Her father looked defeated. But they listened. They walked away. Aria stood still for a long moment, feeling the weight lift from her chest like chains snapping loose. Later that night, she stepped out onto the rooftop terrace alone. The wind brushed her skin. The city lights shimmered below her. Her phone buzzed. Evan? Saw the announcement. I'm so damn proud of you, sis. Always. She smiled. Then she looked out at the skyline and whispered to herself, Success isn't revenge, it's freedom. And she meant it. If you were moved by Aria's story, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe for more powerful real-life stories. Your support keeps these stories alive.